Hello, everyone. Welcome to Curiosity and Coffee. I'm here with Rachel Meyer, who is nutritionist for Pro Lifestyle Nutrition. Welcome, Rachel. How are you doing?
Thanks. Good morning. I'm doing great. I think I mentioned to you that it was very easy to wake up this morning, which is
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. It's always great when you are just like, yeah, you know what? Let's do this
Yeah,
day.
do it. Yeah.
Now, so what do you have in your mug there? Let's see your mug show off.
Mug shot. Yeah. Did you say what do I
Look,
have in it?
yeah. Are you coffee or tea drinker?
Oh, totally coffee. Love coffee in the morning. Yeah, and I love to put sweetened vanilla almond milk, about a half cup, and then some skim milk in it.
Nice,
So it
nice.
sweetens it up. I love it. Yeah.
Rockstar move. I love it. I got my luau girl here
Oh,
because
sweet.
I'm also feeling just kind of like chill. I don't know. It's Thursday, but it feels like Friday to me. I might be kind of cheating a little bit, but I feel like luau girl's right for me right
Nice.
now.
Well, I felt like it was Friday on Monday today. I mean, this week because it was so nice outside that I
Yeah.
was like in total Friday like vibe.
Yeah, like all week. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's like a little bit of the shift is just like it's just a little bit warmer. We're just inching toward the glory of spring. So yeah, maybe that's a little bit of our vibes going on.
Yes.
So yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm so excited for the Facebook world to just glean a little bit of your wisdom and hear a little bit of your insight, because I know, most of us out here are, we're trying different things to bring more health and wellness into our life. And some of it's working and some of it isn't. And it's easy to get discouraged. And so I think having you as an expert to kind of speak to it a little bit can just give us that boost in that direction and that motivation that we need to get to where we need to be as individuals for our best life. So I'm wondering for you, um, how do you define a healthy lifestyle and living in wellness? What does that mean to you?
So I'm gonna give you this simple answer to that because I think that there's not necessarily one right answer to that question as far as like what
Yeah.
is actually the meaning of healthy lifestyle, and for everybody that answer might be different. And actually that's one of the things I love to honor with people is like there's no one right way to accomplish a goal. But my answer to that would be the practice of behaviors that are going to benefit both your mental and physical health, and the consistent practice of those behaviors. That to me is what really helps to define like what a healthy lifestyle is, but kind of in a very general answer type
That's
thing.
really brilliant. That's really brilliant. So it's really about assessing what serves you
Yeah, absolutely.
in your best life and integrating that into a consistent practice. And
Right.
that's different for each person.
Right. And there may be some like general themes, like common themes that
Mm-hmm.
I know that this is based on fact and science, that this is going to help with overall health, and whether it's sustainable weight loss, better health, maybe muscle gain, fitness. I mean, there are some themes that I do, but in order to maybe integrate those themes or those concepts into a person's lifestyle, they're all different kinds of ways and paths and strategies for how to do it and get there and build consistency. And besides consistency being maybe, like behaviors that are consistent, another concept, and I think behavior that really defines a healthy lifestyle is the consistency of really how you like responding to struggles and challenges in a healthy way and in a healthy way. Because
Yeah.
the bottom line here is that in an entire lifetime and in an entire year, and sometimes in a week, in a month, we're going to hit struggles. Even if you achieve consistency with a healthy behavior, or you're managing, like for me, I've struggled with binge eating. I've struggled with food cravings. And I grew up where, I can show, in fact, I'll probably do this soon, post a picture of myself when I was 12 years old, where I remember at that age being so impacted by diet culture already.
Yeah.
In magazines, I'd see all these girls that are super skinny, their skin's perfect. And already at 11 and 12, I felt really uncomfortable in my body.
Yeah.
And I had, issues with binge eating, and I struggled with that. And even throughout training for being a dietitian, and one of the points, I think takeaways from this is that eating habits and food and all that, and what we, just what we do. It's a lot more than it's a lot more that goes into it than just what we know.
Yeah.
Emotional, it's psychological. We have things that maybe if you're raised with certain beliefs or a foundation, or or you've had certain habits for years, it takes a lot more than knowing something, I think, a lot of the times, to change a behavior or accomplish a goal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
I think that you're hitting on some really important components here, because, what I hear you saying is it can be much easier to get change when all things are like equal and you're going through an easy time, but it's that sustainability through the tough times, because we can't avoid them. They're going to be part of life. And how can we create an environment of success through those times of struggle as well?
Right. And I think that's one of the big keys. It's like, it can be very, I don't mean to use the word easy, but maybe easier to show up during the really easy, for nothing. Right. But what's going to make such a huge difference and really help to build and solidify that consistency is learning and understanding and having the coping skills for continuing the consistency during the tough times, but really knowing how to do that and how to pivot and how to adapt and respond. So that to me is another like major healthy lifestyle key right there.
Yeah. Preparing yourself for those times that are harder than others, so that you can live in a way that best serves you through those times, and even thrive through those times and have the tools that you need. That's beautifully insightful. So what do you think are essential elements to creating a lasting change? And again, I know that that's different for different people, but there are some reoccurring themes. And so I think we kind of like reached this place. We have had resolutions at the beginning of the year, and we've been, working toward whatever our goals are for ourselves. And you start getting to this point in the year where it's hard to stay motivated. And so what do you think are a few of the most essential elements to creating a lasting change for your health and wellness?
That's a great question. I think one of the first things that I would say that it's really good to be clear on and keep in mind is why you're doing it in the first place. Like, why is a healthy lifestyle important, or your personal goals important to you? Because what I find is when you really dig deep and keep asking yourself, well, why? Why is that important? So like if there is a goal to simply lose weight or change body composition or get healthier or work on, whatever goal, weight or wellness related that it is, to really ask, like, why is that important to me? Because there's a big picture. Chances are it's not just about any one number or a lab result or something. Chances are it's about, do you want to feel more energy? Do you want to feel more comfortable and happy in your body, less self-conscious, more self-esteem? And those things, then when we ask, okay, well, why is that important? A lot of the times when I ask that question to my clients or future clients, I get things like, and this is getting very personal, but I'm going to go there. Intimacy in a marriage, that can
Yeah.
be greatly impacted. And a lot of people don't talk about it, but
Yeah.
feeling comfortable in a marriage, in a relationship, being able to enjoy vacation to the fullest extent without the stress and guilt holding you back from enjoying your time. Being able to see, I had a client who was like, I want to be able to see the people I haven't seen in a long time, like friends, family. I haven't seen them in a long time. I'd love to reconnect with them. And I don't want to now because I don't feel good about myself. Those are huge, like just that the idea that a goal could help a person really enhance the quality of their life and live life to the fullest and make the most of time, which is something we do not get back. We don't get back time. And
It's true.
and this is why I think it's, going beyond a number is so important in order to stay motivated and focused on like, what is the big picture? Why am I doing this? It's not just for a number, and that can be very, very powerful. So that's one of the things I tend to suggest is like thinking about and staying focused on the big picture. For a lot of people, it might be, I want to be here for my kids. I want to be around for my children. I want to walk my daughter down the aisle, or I want to help my daughter plan her wedding and be there, but be there as my healthiest self, somebody who's active, independent, who can really be there in that form. So, those are some things to think about. I think beyond that, yeah. So that's just in itself, that would be the first thing I would.
Yeah. Yeah. You're reminding me of something else. And I think it's such a gift and such a takeaway to have that clearly defined of why it's important to you. And I think to revisit it, right? Like
Yes.
as a mantra that you live your life by, as something that you write down, as something you have written down somewhere that you can revisit and revisit. And I love what you're saying because it reminded me of something I learned in the recent past, the past couple of years, about judgment and shame. And with judgment, with self-judgment, that's often where we start with wanting to make a change. Is it can often come from a place of self-judgment. And so then we start verbally and emotionally abusing ourselves and talking down to ourselves as you've just got to do this, and you just need to get it together, and you've just got to do this, and kind of like berating ourselves. And the thing about judgment and self-judgment and that inner voice and that being kind of like the baseline of where we're at is that it's not sustainable for change. It may, in the short term, get us out there and get us doing like the place where we want to start. But if the definition and the energy that we bring to the table only comes from a place of judgment and shame, eventually we'll get worn down and we won't be able to continue that motivation and that path. Eventually we'll get defeated. So what I hear you saying is you're pivoting and you're saying it's important to change that and redefine that. And your baseline becomes why it's important to you, what you want to get out of life, not coming from a place of you've just got to get your stuff together and you just need to do this. And why aren't you more X, Y, and Z? It's what's important to you. What do you want most in life? And revisiting that over and over and over again to stay motivated. And I love that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, definitely. It's really good what you said, being aware of that like inner self talk or that internal thought process that is so powerful. Oh my gosh, like what we tell ourselves and our perspectives on what success is or what progress means or the way that we view, like what you were saying, it is so important to address that as a piece of the puzzle. That is definitely something else that, I think, again, to answer, going back to what defines a healthy lifestyle, that's a part of it too. It's our own, how we kind of what's going on internally, and our mindset, and having a healthy, helpful mindset, not a mindset that's constantly putting us down and doing it to ourselves.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, you started the conversation talking about evaluating what serves us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what serves us. And just as important as what serves us in our activity and what serves us when we put what we put in our bodies, it's also what serves us in our heart, in our thoughts, and in our feelings and in our emotions, and being in touch with that part of ourselves as well. Of it, does my inner dialogue right now, is this serving me? And so it all comes together in a whole, as a whole piece. And I love hearing you talk about that. That's amazing. It brings it all together.
What I love about it too is it goes beyond food.
Mm-hmm.
So much of the focus, I think that at least that I hear and that I see, is, I think, number one, what you brought up, which is the idea that we can be so hard on ourselves, and that is not going to be, like you said, helpful.
It's not sustainable. Yeah, it's not sustainable.
Yeah. And the other thing is the focus and the energy going beyond food. It's so much more than about what we eat. And there's any kind of weight goal or health goal or wellness goal, that's something else that is so important to learn to understand.
Yeah.
Is that it's more than just the food, so much more than that. And that's something that we're getting into. It's like there's a lot of internal stuff, mindset stuff, that it's so important to address in order to achieve the long-term results.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we go further, I just want to let everybody know who's watching that if you have questions, or if you even have comments about your own personal journey and your own experiences, definitely share them in the comments. And Rachel's here and happy to answer any questions that you have about your own personal wellness journey. Yeah. So what you were talking about, being clear about why you want to, why you want health and wellness to be an integral part of your experience, and your life experience. It was reminding me of my own motivation behind it. And it's so helpful to think about it in that way. And I was remembering that, you know, a big part of my husband and myself, our health goals revolve around being able to summit a mountain and not be out of breath. You know, like that is the thing, is you want to be hiking up that mountain because we love hiking. That's a big part of our life. And you want to be hiking up the mountain and you want to be feeling good. You don't want to be feeling like, oh God, I think I'm going to throw up. You know, just feeling good when you're out in nature. And I think that's a little bit too of what you were talking about everybody's individual goals and preferences and motivations as to why they make the changes that they want to make in their life. So I love that. I think it's great. So what are some top tips for you, and or how do you personally stay motivated toward your health goals, besides, you know, being clear about why it's most important to you, like day to day, day in, day out? What helps you keep focused and motivated?
Well, one thing I like to keep in mind is how I feel, and knowing that, like, I feel my best when I'm just feeling, feeling well, feeling, and it's hard to really define that further, but feeling well in my body is what helps to keep me motivated, because I know the difference between, just based on my body, I know when I have days where I'm not feeling I can compare feeling well and feeling really healthy and fantastic to maybe times where if I'm struggling with binge eating. Those behaviors, not that it's the food itself, there's nothing. And this is the other thing. I don't talk to myself with shame and guilt anymore. I used to do that, but I don't do that anymore. And it's extremely freeing, actually, and it helps to stay motivated when you're your own cheerleader.
Yeah.
And you can give yourself grace and be in the moment and kind of say, okay, I did that, those behaviors, they didn't make me feel good. So what can I do? What can I do now? Or what are some things that I've done before that are going to help me moving forward?
Right. Yes, absolutely. And that reminds me something of my good friend Senye, who's a therapist. We were talking about this before. Making a list of the things that make you feel good. But the key element to this list is that you have to make the list when you feel good. So because you won't do it. You won't do it on a crappy day. You're not going to do it. But on a day where you're feeling elevated and feeling, self-possessed and feeling good, pull out a pen and paper. I mean, literally, or your device, but it needs to be physically written down, your go-tos for what serves you and what makes you feel best in life. And nothing too big or too small, right?
Yeah.
It can be like just taking 30 minutes making myself a cup of tea, snuggling your dog. I know you and I share a love of that. Maybe getting your nails done, or there's just any number of things, nothing too big or too small, but having that as a resource to go to help shift that energy, right? And so before we move forward, I just wanted to pop up Daria. So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Daria. She said she needed to hear this conversation today, and that she realized that her inner dialogue has been shame-based, and so she's onward. Thank you so much for sharing, Daria. And you are not alone. I think we've all had to learn in some ways, first approaching and recognizing our shame and judgment, because the clincher and the funny thing is that the initial gut response to judgment is to judge it. Like the irony of it.
Right.
And so the shift happens with that shame and judgment when we can witness it, right? We witness that we are judging ourselves. We witness the inner dialogue that doesn't serve us. And then we can greet it with compassion. And so we open up and we listen. Where is this coming from? What's the origin of this story? Listening. Even sometimes I will put my hand on my heart and literally say, I love you. I'm listening. And creating a space of compassion and nurture and just sitting in that space. And that just changes everything. That changes everything. And I was going to ask you, what do you do on those days when you're struggling? And, you were just saying, you keeping in mind and keeping a touch point to how you're feeling and comparing the better days to the not so great days. On those days that are harder than others, what do you do to recenter yourself?
One of the most helpful strategies that at least I find very helpful, and I work on this with my clients as well, because this is one of the themes that I really believe in. It's the asking the question, what can I do today that's going to serve me? What can I add in? Versus what can I do? I can't do this, so I'm not going to do anything at all. That, even when I say that out loud, I don't feel good. And I can already feel the words are just, that's so not going to help.
Yeah.
Focus on what you can't do. So in the situations that are thrown at us throughout life, the sometimes expected and a lot of the times the unexpected, it's very important to, I think, number one, work on that practice of self-compassion and awareness, like what you were saying, like being aware of that inner dialogue, and know that it's okay if it's not, because I think we're all going to struggle with self-judgment and running into maybe challenges with that, but being open and aware of it, and working on the practice of self-compassion is so important.
Yeah.
But that question, this is something that's helped me so much with my personal journey, is just keep focused on what can I do that's going to make me feel good and make me feel like I'm still showing up for my goals. So even if that changes based on the situation, which, by the way, that is another way to help build consistency, is, again, having the ability to adapt and pivot. And a lot of the times we have to re-ask that question. What can we do in this situation that's going to make sense for your lifestyle? And that's what I do, and that's what has really helped a lot.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. And sometimes we just need like that touch point to like a question to ask ourselves. It's almost like a mantra, and so it's something we can extrapolate in a moment of compromise or pain point, something that we can look to and pull and say, I have this question. Let me just and visit this place.
And I love the idea of what you said. Now, writing things down is something, I think it can be underestimated or underrated, or whatever the word is I'm looking for, but writing it down. Here's the other thing I think that's so good about that. When you're in the moment, and if certain behaviors or habits or ways of thinking or these questions we're talking about, if they're not automatic, it's not like a default to go to those questions or ways of thinking or activities that make you feel good, which is very understandable. If it's not a habit, when you're in the moment and super stressed or something just happened and it's caused, whatever emotion, having that tool, like kind of thinking that as a tool in your wellness toolkit, to have a visual of what you can do. It's almost like you're kind of preparing yourself, but at the same time, whether you're going through a certain struggle or challenge or not, I think it's just something that can be so helpful to have on hand, just to stay aware of maybe these helpful behaviors or questions to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's 4 questions that I write out. It's the same 4 questions almost every day. And, the social media world will hear me talking about this ad nauseum for a while, but it's just been such a pivot point in my life. And it's changed everything. And every morning it just creates a dynamic shift. It's 4 questions that I write out. And the first question is, how do I want to be? The second question is, how do I want to feel? And sometimes it's a little tricky to differentiate the two, but the being, but like the essence of who I am. Like, I want to be a leader, right? And how do I want to feel? I want to feel confident, right? Something like that. It could be anything, though. I mean, it changes from day to day. So how do I want to be? How do I want to feel? What do I want to give? And what do I want to receive? And when I actually write out these questions and write out the answers, my energy for the day completely shifts. And it's almost just like shouting to the universe, like, this is it's go time, and this is what's going to happen. This is the way it's going to go. And it's just amazing, because until that moment, until I actually write it out, I may not be completely in tune with that's actually what I need today. Is I just need this. And this is what I want to put out into the world. And this is what I want to get back from the world. But it's just this clear cut, like, here we are today. This is what today is. And this is how we want to exist and be in the world today. And it's just been completely a total change and shift as well. So
Wow.
Yeah,
that's such an awesome, like, that practice.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you were saying, that act of writing it out. So before we close things down, I do want to know what you would say to anyone who's stuck in a loop of starting and stopping, stuck in a loop of diets, diet culture, stuck in a loop of judgment and shame, inner talk. Um, what would you want to say? Like, this person gives you a call up on the phone and they say, "This is where I'm at." What do you want them to know?
I think one of the first things is to know that, first of all, it's okay if you're struggling. That doesn't make you at all a failure or at all, incapable of achieving goals or achieving maybe a lifestyle that serves you more, or a healthier lifestyle. I think that's just so important to know that, um, struggle is going to be a normal part of life and a part of the process, and that it's just okay that you feel that, or that a person feels that way. I would definitely suggest, as one of the first things that I tend to recommend is exploring, what's causing the struggle? What are some of the things going on? And really dive into that. And maybe it could be partly certain methods that have been applied that just aren't sustainable. And maybe we need to address, what are those methods, and change them so that they are going to be sustainable. So that's one of the, I think, very important things when working towards goals of better health, or wellness related, weight related, is we've got to work on the methods so that they're sustainable. Because if the methods aren't sustainable, it's so completely understandable that the result is not going to be sustainable, or yeah. So awareness is one of the first things I tend to recommend. It's becoming very aware of, like, what's happening here? What are the behaviors and the patterns that are not helping me right now?
Yeah.
And taking that first step is huge.
Yeah.
Because then that allows us to, okay, we have the awareness. Now we can come up with, okay, what are the resources? What can be a part of the plan to help move a person in the direction that they want to go in? And like I've said before, that's going to look different from person to person. There may be common themes when it comes to nutrition and certain, like, behaviors and just certain themes that we can apply, but how we apply that is going to be different for everyone based on their food preferences, their lifestyle, their own challenges. The thing is that we are all different. We're all different people, and it's so important that the plan and the methods reflect that and not be like a cookie cutter type of approach. So what I'm seeing is a lot of people get so down on themselves for not taking this cookie cutter approach that diet culture has created, or other, diet culture and fads and things like that kind of create.
Yeah.
And it's no wonder they don't work over 95% of the time. They don't honor the individual person.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just so important to know, when you're struggling, there's nothing wrong with you, and that it's just important to know that it's actually, I would say, important to figure out, what's going on, being aware, evaluating what methods are you currently taking, and also using struggle and things like that, and almost starting to reframe, looking at them as opportunities
Yes.
to grow and succeed. And this is another mindset thing where I think it can be easy to let the times where we're struggling, or maybe feel like we're failing, or feel like we're not doing well, and have that be the reason that we don't keep going. And that's the other thing that's so important to address, besides like methods and again, awareness of other like things going on, specific challenges, but really work on this concept of, okay, the struggles that I have or that I run into as part of the process, or, in the lifestyle, these are not failures. These are opportunities to grow, to learn, to actually build consistency and success, and to move forward.
Yeah.
So those are some things that I think, just some thoughts I recommend considering. And then the one other thing I was going to mention is that accountability and support are the other two major things.
Yeah.
Getting more accountability, getting more support.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is really what you're about and what you're there for. So before we go, tell everyone about some of the services that you offer at Pro Lifestyle Nutrition, and also where they can find you.
Sure. Yeah. So I would say my baby is my one-to-one nutrition coaching program, because that's my one-to-one program. It basically involves having weekly coaching calls. So it's a high accountability program where we check in on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, depending on the accountability needs. And as part of that program, my clients can text me anytime when they have questions or concerns. I mean, it really is meant to be high accountability because of how powerful that really is to help with changing behaviors, working on behaviors, staying focused, always having somebody in your corner. So that's a big component of my one-to-one coaching program, but it's really all about helping people to really end the diet cycle and really break up with diet culture, and work on healing relationship with food, relationship with body image, but also learn how to fuel their bodies properly, learn how to build in flexibility to their lifestyle, because that's what we're creating through my program. It's a lifestyle that's going to support both short-term and long-term goals. So it's not a diet, it's building a lifestyle and having the flexibility to enjoy favorite foods and enjoy the things that you love. So that's what I help my clients do, along with building resiliency, working on some of the things that we've talked about, like that inner dialogue, how to handle challenges, respond to challenges. So it's, I think, long story short, it's a lifestyle transformation program that's meant to help with producing results.
Yeah. That's awesome. That accountability is such a huge part of it, and just being able to really take a close look with someone who can really help sculpt and change and help create and build that change with some real tools.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
It's not a quick fix. It's really legit. We're working on these long-term changes. So it's there's, I think, the trust that's needed in I mean, for this approach, because I know there's a lot of like wanting a quick fix, wanting quick results. So that's something else I like to put out there, is as like healthy expectations too. If there's struggling right now, it's to realize that you don't have to get it all overnight, and that's not my program's meant to be more of like a slow and steady. We're building momentum, but at a pace that's manageable, digestible. It's like it prevents the anxiety of overwhelm, which can cause a lot of people to just stop and steer.
Exactly. Because we're talking about your entire life, like how your life flows, like who you want to be, the person that you want to be inside and out. And that takes time to build. It reminds me of one of the principles that I live by is encapsulated in this story that a teacher had told me a long time ago. And it's the idea of building a cathedral. And so, a man's walking down a road and he passes 3 men working on a project of building the structure. And he asks the first man, "What are you doing?" And the first man says, "I'm laying brick." And he asks the second man, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm building a wall." And he asks the third man, "What am I doing?" And he says, "I'm building a cathedral." And that really has informed how I think about living my life, is that big picture of looking at we're building a cathedral here in our lives. And that takes time, and it takes grace, and it takes patience and compassion. And it does. And so you're there to help support, because we should not be expected to do this alone. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was Cory Booker, representative, a politician, who said something to the effect of, this was about politics, but he said, I hope that we are long past the idea of the one man hero. This idea that we as a person, as one person, are meant to just go and make all of the change happen in the world that needs to happen. We need community. We need, as I say, accountability buddies. Yeah. We need people in our corner. So that's really what you're there for. Where can people find you?
So on Instagram, well, actually, let me highlight my Facebook community on the community note. So I have a private Facebook community. It's called Holistic Weight Loss and Wellness. And then my website is just prolifestylenutrition.com. And then on Instagram, if you're on the gram, it's holistic.weightloss.dietitian.
Awesome. Yeah. And your website is streaming down here on the bottom. I can point. I can use my fingers. So there it is. Perfect timing. There it is. So people can find you there. So you and I know each other because for many reasons. But recently you participated in the Woman's Best Friend Project. You and your pup. You and Bo participated in Woman's Best Friend Volume 2. So we're still, as you know, we are still scouting for dog moms to participate in Woman's Best Friend Volume 3. We're still accepting submissions. The profits from the sales of the coffee table book for Volume 3 go to Women's Animal Center, which is an awesome rescue near Philly. So what was the experience like for you, just to speak to some of those dog moms if they're thinking about submitting their story? They can do that at womansbestfriendproject.com, or they can just reach out to me and I'll get them the information. But what was your experience like being a part of that project?
So definitely I'm trying to think where to start, because the first thing is just, beyond it being such a positive experience, I mean, I got to do a photo shoot with my fur baby, and let's face it, child to me, and I love him with all of my heart. So being able to just have that experience with him and have those photos, and that was just, I mean, it was very meaningful and fun, and just so nice to have that kind of bonding experience and have it in photos. The whole experience was a lot of fun, just working with you. It was so much fun. Beyond all that, though, it was just so meaningful for me to be able to be a part of a project that was that saves other animals' lives, other dogs' lives, and support these organizations that that save animals and that give them homes. And that to me was where the true meaning and fulfillment really came from. It was an awesome experience and so much fun with my fur baby and having those moments with him. But that was the big picture. And especially after, I've been through tragedy with losing who's I know in one of the photos there, who was killed by 2 dogs off leash. And that was one of the most traumatic, heartbreaking experience. I'm sorry, not one of it was the most traumatic, heartbreaking experience of my life. And, that was as part of the, just process of, I guess, healing and working on accepting and continuing on even with such pain. That really helped to I'm trying to think of the words, but maybe it was just so much meaning in that it helped with that healing process, knowing that, oh my God, I've honored my dog Luca, who was the victim. I've honored him by, number one, rescuing Bo. And Bo, the fur baby, my fur baby now is, he was rescued in honor of Luca. I couldn't save Luca, but I could save a dog in Luca's honor. And that gave me like huge amount of meaning. And but this was like the other thing that gave me that huge feeling of like meaning and fulfillment. It was being able to also do this with Bo and honor Luca through this project.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautifully put. That's so beautifully put. And I'm posting the website for Woman's Best Friend in the comments too. So if there are any dog moms out there who are watching who'd like to participate in volume 3, then please do that. And then the other way we know each other is you came back and you had branding photography done by our studio, which was so much fun. Like cupcakes and other snacks and wine. There was wine involved in your session.
Yeah, what could be bad about that?
I know, right. But we loved having you in the studio. What was your experience like coming in and having the branding photography done, and how did it help? How has having that branding photography experience elevated your brand?
Well, it was really valuable being able to communicate through pictures what I wanted to communicate, like certain messages. And like, I mean, I know I've mentioned this idea of like common themes that all kind of focus on with my clients and within my practice. And I feel like a lot of those common themes were communicated through those photos. And that is a very valuable thing. And that's one of the things that I really appreciaed and enjoyed through that experience. So being able to enjoy a cupcake and enjoy fun with food, and just kind of showcase some lifestyle stuff like self-care, and what it means to live a healthy lifestyle, but through these photos, and kind of how I personally also practice what I'm also and I practice and work on managing and apply to my own lifestyle, but also those are the things that I help with my clients. So I love being able to capture some of those things in photos, and then I think it's helped create more of a powerful maybe because I recently I've used a couple of them so far, and I just think it's like it pulls people in more when you have a powerful photo.
It's engaging.
Yeah, it's engaging. And if there's like a certain message that I'm putting out there, I love having a photo, with that message that helps to make it more powerful.
Yeah, I love that too. I mean, I'm a photographer, but photographers also need branding photography. And so whenever I'm trying to communicate something, I love having that photo that says exactly what I want to say. Yeah. And so, and you rocked it. It was such a fun session. There was yoga, there was dancing, there was food. It was because it was about, it's about living our best lives. And it really, and you really hit it out of the park. So it was great. It was great having you in the studio. So thank you so much for tuning in. Before I go, Jen Walgus said, what a great way to start the day. Thank you, Jen, for tuning in. And thank you so much, Rachel, for being here. I know that what you've shared today has really added value to the lives of a lot of people out there. So thank you for taking the time to share your expertise and your wisdom with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I loved being here. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, you be well. You enjoy your coffee and have a great Thursday, which apparently feels like a Friday. And And we'll be talking to you soon.
Sounds good. All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, Facebook world.